Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 40 of Powerbombshells. I'm Sam. That is Mel. We are just two broads talking about the wrestling that we're watching.
Facebook is working.
Oh,
It
good.
loves us. See, it didn't get mad at us.
Yay.
Yay! Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes,
It's Thanksgiving weekend.
it is. Thank you for joining us on your holiday weekend.
I'm all over the place right now. I'm just like, holy crap, there's so much to talk about. But
There is a lot to talk
you
about.
watched Survivor Series last night, right?
Yeah, I ended up watching it because I was covering it for SC Scoops. I had a couple of things that I was watching, and so I wasn't planning to watch, and then they needed some help with coverage, and so I was like, sure, I'll check in, and and I kind of had to check in because I needed to know if Triple H was trolling or not, because
Yeah.
he posted a video at like 6:30 of William Regal saying war games over and over and over, and I was like, please tell me that this isn't really what's happening, and please tell me that we're being trolled, and we were.
I mean, anyone can pay to be anyone now on Twitter, so
That's true.
it's amazing. That's
So
what I
luckily,
love.
yeah,
That's
William
what I
Regal.
love about the hive mind. It always figures out like a way to get around everything.
Right. Well, yeah. So William Regal did not. He was not at War Games last night. So
Well,
Triple H was just trolling.
I don't know. I don't see it happening. But you know what? Never say never, as
Yeah, I
they
don't.
say in the wrestling business.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. However, like you said, never say never in the wrestling business, and we know that he and Triple H have a long business relationship. But then I was telling Nikki and I were talking about it last night, and I was like, well, they've put Gabe Sapolsky in that position where he's going to indie shows and scouting. He was at the last, I believe, he was at the last PWG show, which is what they used to do with William Regal all the time. Like that's how. Like people like Cedric Alexander.
That's a good idea.
Got on their radar. So I was like, well, if I was like, they basically have Gabe and William's position of, I guess, scouting indie talent. So I was like, I mean, of course they could, I mean, it's William Regal, so they would find a way to bring him back, but they kind of already have that position filled. And I just, with the way, and we'll get to the storyline from last week with Dynamite. But yeah, I mean, so I definitely, it's possible, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
And last night just kind of further proved, like, I think if he was going to be there last night, probably would have been. Hello, thank you for joining us. Daza is here with us. If you're listening back to this on the audio version, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hope you have.
And actually, that's a great segue into us letting you all know that we are.
Yeah.
While we encourage you to watch the video feed, because you do get the full experience of us being silly, and it's Christmas, or holiday season is coming, and I have a whole bin's worth of stuff. So
guess we'll jump in real quick.
There you go.
Daza says that if Fontaine has called himself the ROH historian, he wishes to be referred to as a Stardom ambassador. We can make that happen. So from now on, when Daza joins us, we will say Stardom ambassador. Daza has.
That's good because we need one, because we both don't have time right now. It's not that we don't want to. Well, I know you watched the crossover show. Is it free now, or did you actually invest?
I invested, and okay. I will. But yeah, it was. I finally had a chance to watch it Friday night, and it was fantastic. Like it was like. And it was just a small taste, and I know that it was different because it was they were just doing a lot of mixed tag matches, so they weren't intergender matches, obviously. So they were mixed. I mean, there was some interaction between the women and the men, but obviously it's that AEW type of thing where men wrestle men, women wrestle women. But they even at the beginning they opened with, it was some of the dojo the dojo guys in Japan versus the ones who like the LA dojo guys who just graduated. It was Gabe Kidd, Alex Coughlin, Kevin Knight, and why am I forgetting? Clark Connors. They did the opening match and it was really good. And then they did like a battle royal type thing with Stardom women, which was really cool to see. You got to see like so many characters, and they it was really fun. And I think one of my favorite matches was Julia and ZSJ versus Tom Lawler and I think it's Shuri, I think is how they were pronouncing it. Maybe Siri. I can't maybe pronouncing that completely wrong because it throws me off. The spelling is SYUR, but it's not pronounced that way.
SYUR.
So, yes, I think it was. It sounded like they were pronouncing it with an H, is how it sounded. But she was phenomenal.
So I think it would be Sari.
And she's so good.
Plus,
I see why she's Filthy Tom's favorite.
I kept listening to Brian Alvarez kept telling Gabe that he was excited about. He was like, Filthy Tom was like so excited for that match that he was like super stoked. I want to see it, but on the same weekend as Full Gear, it was just although it was a fair price, $27. Good deal. But on the same weekend as Full Gear, it was
that's why I didn't get to it until Friday. And it's over 5.5 hours.
Oh, good Lord.
So it's actually,
you know what? It should be though, because it is a historic crossover.
It was a historic crossover, and cool. So Daza said Stardom's YouTube channel has a lot of their recent matches from the 5-star for free.
That's awesome.
I need to subscribe to that because I was really impressed, and it looks like Nikki was able to join us this time.
Yeah,
she couldn't last week. So good. Glad that Nikki's here. But yeah, so it was an excellent showcase. Like I hope they do more shows like that. It was a lot of fun just seeing the interactions and the pair ups that they did of New Japan wrestlers with Stardom wrestlers, and like Zach was super into it, and like that match was probably my favorite. It was really good. And then the main event was Mayu Iwatani versus Kairi, and it was amazing. Like I would say match of the year contender, certainly.
Awesome.
And not just for women. Like it was incredible. And I really was impressed by the women that I saw. And then there was like Shooter wrestled Will Ospreay for the IWGP US title. That match was phenomenal. It's so crazy how good Shooter is already, and he's 27. And I was like, he's not like, or no, 25, I think, or maybe it's no. You know what? I think I'm confusing. I might be confusing him with Takeshita. I think he might be a little bit younger than that, but still, to see where how he started out a few years ago, under John Moxley, and now just seeing him. Like Mini Tanahashi. He's just
he was one of those people where all along you kind of saw that guy he had it, and that he was like the biggest future star in like I had a friend who when we were first watching him was like, that guy's gonna have the IWGP Heavyweight Championship someday.
Absolutely.
And then John Moxley spent that one summer randomly putting him over just because.
He must have. I think he saw it too. I think he saw this guy.
Love, and now he's like starting to realize that. And
and obviously the excursion to the UK did him a lot of good. He got to and he's like he went toe to toe with Will Ospreay. Like the match was so good.
I'm excited. I really am excited to watch it. I'm gonna wait a little bit.
I feel you. Whenever you get a chance, watch it because I highly recommend it. The whole show is fun, but like for those 2 matches alone, like it's worth it. It's so good. And then there was who I never in a million years would think that I would see a team of the Great Muta, Toru Yano, and Kazuchika Okada. Like what?
Oh,
it's like they just put some names in a hat and pulled them out.
Cave. Like I know it. I know I'm in a cave if it doesn't go up soon.
I
I
heard
really
I
want to
know,
see
I
it.
think it was going up on, I mean, you obviously have to have a subscription for Stardom, but I saw that it was going up on Stardom's subscription network today, I believe is what the tweet that I saw, that it's up
New
there.
Japan said it would be up.
Oh, well, hopefully soon
But it
then.
was sometime in the
But
next
they
30 days is what
yeah,
they
they took a
said. So
while to
like,
get Royal Quest up, didn't they?
Royal Quest took forever.
Yeah,
But they didn't
so
make
that
any
might be,
promises
well, I
with
guess
Royal
maybe
Quest. It took a long time for them to even say Royal Quest was going to be available. This
right.
one, they immediately said, this will be available at a later time.
Maybe they let Stardom do it first because it was especially because of the main event. Maybe that's why Stardom's got
That's
it first.
fair.
Maybe.
I'm into that.
Maybe. But
to
yeah.
get people to sign up for their subscription.
Yeah, and now I don't want to give anything. I mean, I saw, you may have already known who won the main event between Kyrie and Mayu. I saw it prior to watching the show, but we also know who the winners match, who they're facing at Wrestle Kingdom. We now know that too. So, which is insane. We're getting a IWGP Women's Championship match at Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh my god. I haven't been this excited for Wrestle Kingdom since before the plague started and shut down the world.
Yeah, like, this show's going to be amazing.
Those couple years before, because I'm was fairly new. I mean, only like signed up around 2016.
Right.
So I only got that window of time until plague era began.
Right.
But,
and so Nikki
my god, it was like that and the G1. Oh.
Well, we love some G1. But Nikki somehow missed, because she missed the whole, she didn't know about the Kenny Omega thing until we watched the show. Like, she somehow avoided Kenny Omega challenging Will Ospreay.
That I knew.
And so, yeah, because we talked about it last week. So Nikki,
I don't know the finish for the women's championship.
Okay,
somehow.
I will not say anything about it. The match is phenomenal. Like, it's so good.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I will watch it. It's just like,
what
do you? I had to like pace myself.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I did. We did Full Gear, and we did our wrap up with Full Gear, and I found myself like over the last couple of weeks. Chris Charlton and Kevin Kelly did that thing where they did the English commentary for a bunch of old matches from like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one I really wanted to watch that I saw on the feed, and I ended up in a click hole. I watched like 3 of them. It's awesome that they are able to do it, but they're like,
that's really cool.
From like the year I was born, and I was watching some Inoki versus some of the big guys that wrestled in this region that I just read about a little while ago.
Right.
So I was looking for it, and I was like, oh, one of these is actually first one I watched was the most obvious one. It was Antonio Inoki versus Andre the Giant.
Oh, of course. You have to watch that.
It was awesome.
That's on that's on World?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's like 4 or 5. They're working on them. It's a thing because obviously now with them, sometimes with Kevin, sometimes traveling with them and sometimes not because of, they did it during COVID. They did like 4 or 5 of them, and they keep talking about how they're going to get back to it. It's just that they're back in the swing of things. So they obviously have, and it's like, they don't have to do that. That's extra stuff.
No,
they're not necessarily. I would imagine they're not getting paid to sit around and watch old matches to put up there for us English watchers.
I'm sure there's some kind of incentive for that. To pay them for their hard work. But that's awesome.
But they want us to see those matches, which is way more important. They're just like, they don't care. They're like, this is awesome and you should watch it. And I'm like, I should watch it. I almost, because I've never seen it. I'm gonna blow a bunch of minds here. And everyone was talking about it. I almost just sat and watched Starrcade 83.
I haven't watched it either.
Because everyone was talking about it. And it was all the rage. And there was the throwback newsletter for Thanksgiving. And I was like, you know what? That's cool. Like, because I like history. Like, I've watched the Ice Bowl and I've watched, the Music City Miracle, and I like rewatched them, not just like I was there kind of deal, because before I was born. But you can't get to everything, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also I have to like shut myself down. I'm like, okay, tamp it down. Go read some history. Go watch a show.
Right.
Go watch Elf, damn it. It's Christmas time almost.
Speaking of Elf, if you go to Mike Gilbert's Twitter account, you can see a video he posted. I don't remember if he posted it last night or this morning.
I wish I had it.
I saw it before I went live. It's just a little clip, and it's Elf related, but it's great.
I love that we're putting up little hot takes about everything on the network right now. Not just wrestling, but things like Elf. That's something people, if you're not subscribed to the Fight Game Media YouTube channel, which is our primary place to find us, please go subscribe and go check out some of the fun new stuff that they're doing. Some of the crossover stuff is really fun. Some of everybody's hot takes are hilarious.
Yeah, there's a lot of great content. We've talked about that before, and there's a lot of really great free content. So subscribe so you don't miss anything. And then I think we started to talk about it and then got sidetracked. So we are now, if you're listening to the audio version of this show, we're now probably on your favorite platform. We're on the RSS feed now, so you can listen to us on Spotify, iHeart. Samsung has a deal. We're on quite a few, so probably
I'm waiting for like a couple places to get back to me. There might be links on Google Music. Amazon Music is available.
Amazon is, and I went and clicked because I have some of those.
TuneIn said yes. I've got to do a couple extra steps with the Apple Podcasts because that's very special, and that's something Sam and I'll talk about later. But we have an official. We can keep as many podcasts as we want to, and we have a nice, pretty cover, and I'm able to like do all of this stuff.
I'm excited.
That's again. It was like full gear in that because on Monday I was like, you know what, and now we can schedule it so you guys, the audio will be available for this show sometime early Monday morning, usually when you first wake up, hopefully. So if you set your thingy and you catch us, then we'll be right in your podcatch on Monday morning for your audio. But again, I'm going to super duper stress subscribing and checking us out on the Facebook on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's where we are in video when we do our silly stuff, shenanigans that you're going to want to see IRL. That's where you're going to get to. And if you want to come talk to us live, we're going to start doing always live at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sundays and see how that goes.
Yeah, we've got a few holiday things coming up, so that may move us around a little bit. But definitely for sure, like at the first of the year, we're pretty much, unless something comes up, we're pretty much going to be just live every Sunday at 1:00 Eastern time. So
just going to hang out here with you guys for an hour and a half or two. And unless something really crazy is going on. And we appreciate you guys that are already tuned in. That's really awesome that you guys
we appreciate that.
But if you want to tell your friends and encourage them to listen, because podcasting is very important.
It is very important. So Daza's asking, are we on the new Fight Game Media spinoff group, which is about streaming channels?
Streaming channels.
I don't know if I'm aware about this. Is this something that's happening in Facebook where I'm not as active? Because I was like, I'm not super active on Facebook.
I'm better than you at it.
Yes, MJF, you are.
And you know it. No.
Mel JF over here is better at Facebook than me.
Yeah, the M part works. We just have to figure out what my J and F would stand for.
I'm sure we can come
Mel
up with
the
something.
Jerk Face.
No.
Because Sam does so damn much for the show.
Oh, you do a lot too. Please stop. Please stop. But as of right now, no, because I'm not familiar with what that is. Maybe
we'll figure it out.
They're like, no girls allowed.
And we even have a guest, I think, coming soon. We have a guest from Fight Game Media.
We do. We had a request, and I'm very glad that they requested to come
I'm
hang out.
I was like, thank you for saying something.
Yeah, because we've been on their show So I'm glad that they want to come be on our show. So
Yeah,
I'm
me
excited
too.
about that. And then I guess since we're talking about other people's shows, the Boom did their first ever I'm gonna say inaugural, people. Inaugural is the word, not
That's
first annual, because
that's
it's
what I
not. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. There's no such thing as first annual. It's inaugural because
it is
it
funny
can't
to
be
say.
annual until it's already happened. So anytime after the first is annual, but until then, it is inaugural.
That, oh my gosh, you know what? I just realized you both make total sense to me, and I completely agree with you, and that's why I said inaugural. And I realized I love you. We're such we're kindred nerds.
And it's so funny. One of my college professors, who was my mentor in college, and he was very much on the same brand about inaugural. Like that was one of his soapbox things too. And I was like, yes, me. And so now Nikki and I call it out all the time. I'm like, it is inaugural, people.
I think it's because it's hard to say.
Maybe that is it. Well, maybe so.
But those of us who live in the world of smartassery, which I am one,
same.
Sometimes we just do that like explicitly to kind of piss off people. Like, one of the specials that we used to do every Christmas, and we would just watch any movie and bring on a bunch of our podcast friends. But we used to call it we did our initial one for the end of the world because it was 2012 and everyone said the world was ending. And so we did an end of the world special. And when the world didn't end, we did another one the next year. And so I called it the second annual end of the year special.
See? That is correct.
And I was like, so for years we had end of the year specials that were the third and the fourth.
That's amazing.
And I was like, this joke is hilarious. And if you don't think so, well, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for you. But the point we were trying to make, we are not trying to hate on the lovely people of the Boom because we do love them. But they had their Hall of Boom, which was their AEW I guess basically their AEW Hall of Fame, and we were all given categories that we could talk about, and so Mel and I were both invited to participate. Sadly, I've only been able to listen to a small portion of it, and I only got like 20 minutes into part 1 yesterday, and then I was going to listen to some more, but I ended up having car issues yesterday and had to get towed home. Last night. Good. So so and then by the time I got dinner and got situated, it was time for Survivor Series, and I was like, well, gotta earn some of this money back that I've from towing my car. So I was like, but yeah, so anyway, so I cannot wait to listen to the rest of it. And it's 2 episodes because there's so much good content, but they focus on like really cool stuff. It was like AEW originals, AEW, like the actual pillars, not the story pillars, but like the people who basically
really built the company.
AEW wouldn't exist without these people. They did stuff on like managers, like best matches. I got to do the COVID era stuff, which was really cool.
Which was great. You do really nice job. Oh, you reminded me, just like they talk about in the episode. Actually, I got through 1. I haven't gotten through 2. But they talk about it in the episode a little bit, and I don't want to spoil it because I think people should totally go listen.
Oh, yeah.
But
okay, so if you're on,
on a tiny little frequency, you like touched on so many things, like things I had forgotten about, even where I was like, she's so right.
Well, and let me tell you, this took me. I had to record it 4 times before it worked, and because for some reason
I feel like a jerk because I
I figured out. So I was trying to record audio only, and the only way I could get it to work was I had to record with video and then download audio only to send to them, because I recorded audio only and sent it, and it was just, there was nothing. You couldn't hear me talk, like, because Kevin was like, yeah, I can't hear you. And so I recorded it again and played it, and I couldn't hear it. So I recorded it again I recorded it 4 times. And so like the first time I recorded it, I think it was like 4.5 minutes. And I was like, crap. And I told him, I was like, you got to edit it down. That's fine. I didn't realize how long I was going. And then he was like, well, I can't hear you. So by the time I recorded it 4 times, I got it down to like 3 minutes and 45 seconds, I think. So I think I just quickly, I was like, I probably was talking fast. And it's because I was trying to like hit all my points. And this was the 4th time recording it. And I was like, I want to be part of this so bad.
I'm done with this.
It's like, please work, because I really want to talk about this stuff, especially because I really enjoyed the COVID era and I wanted to talk about.
You nailed it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
It was
I can't wait to get to your stuff too.
It's one of those things, you know what it is? It turned out, so it's like those days where you can't get your hair to do what you want it to do. And then all day long, everyone's like, your hair looks great today.
Right.
And you're like, whatever. So that's how, like, so be assured that your hair looks great.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that it looks great.
On the inaugural Hall of Boom episode from the Boom, which you can check out on our Patreon there.
Yes.
And I think that it's exclusive to the Patreon.
I believe so.
But if there was ever a time to sign up for the Patreon and do the $5 a month.
Yeah.
Or get, like, I did the annual plans, like, and it was a little less expensive for me.
Yeah.
But this is what you should sign up for.
Yeah. And I was mad that I only got 20 minutes in before I had to, like, leave and do stuff. But I was like, oh, this is so good. And Nikki was listening to it too. And, like, I was like, that's just a small portion. So I'm definitely going to
go back and finish proud of those guys. And I know that they're going to try and make it an annual thing. And I know that, like, the first time, as always, you have to feel your way through it. And I think
and I'm sure they'll make some tweaks and stuff. But I mean, I thought the categories they had were really good.
Oh, the categories were great.
It seems like they had like literally everything covered. Like I thought it was really well laid out. And like I said, I can't wait to listen to the rest of it and see. And I like that they have people give their opinions and then they give theirs as well. Like, I think it makes it for a really cool discussion, even though it's not technically a discussion because, you know, the parts were pre-recorded, but still, like, it's really cool to hear just the thoughts of everybody, you know, on the Fight Game Media about this type of stuff, because, you know, I'm pretty sure all of us have been watching since the beginning with AEW. And so, and we are headed into year 4. So it is time. And that's, you know, and that was kind of the point I made about, I will just briefly, I don't want to give a whole lot away, but I brought up the dog collar match between Mr. Brody Lee and Cody Rhodes. I think that is a match that'll stand up when we look back at their 5-year anniversary, their 10-year anniversary, 15 years, that match is still going to stand up, I think. And it is obviously a lot more bittersweet because Brody Lee is no longer with us. And I think it makes the match even more special because I went back and watched it last year because I wrote about it. Actually, I think I wrote about it for who did I write about it for? But I wrote about it. I think it was for Daily DDT. It was for something for Daily DDT that I did. So I went back and watched it, and it was really, really good. And I was really happy that, you know, that we got that, because it's so sad that he was only in AEW for such a short time, but he made such an impact, and he's still making an impact, which we'll get to in because of Rampage.
Yeah, right. Rampage. Jeez. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah, and it was funny because one of my editors was like, wait, it already aired? And he was like, oh yeah, it was 4:00 today. And I was like, man, because I've talked about it before. Like, I do love Rampage. I watch it, but sometimes because I do the Rampage the coverage for Daily DDT, sometimes I struggle to come up with something to write 300 words about, because sometimes it's just not there. Well, so I went to my editor and I was like, so there's 2 big stories off of Rampage today. He said, that's 2 more than usual. I said, yes, it is. I was like, so
you're like, dear Tony Khan, why can't you make this as easy on me as it was this week?
Right, exactly. And I was like,
go back to making Rampage easy for me to write this many words about.
So I went back and I ended up writing about both of them, but people are talking about what happened at the end of the show, which we'll get to. But yeah, and so Daza tells us that it's on Facebook and to yell at Garrett.
All right.
Done.
Maybe I just missed it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, but again, I'm not on YouTube. I mean, not YouTube.
It's hard to
I'm on
keep up
Facebook
with
a lot.
everything.
Yeah, I'm just not there very often as it is, and so it's mostly there for my blog stuff, and
I'm
share some articles. I share our podcast when it's up to, so that I share.
I take care of the Facebook side of things for the most part.
She does, and I appreciate that because I'm just not
I'm
there
older.
very often.
I love seeing 5-year-old recycled from Reddit memes on my timeline. I love it. It's my favorite thing.
I was trying to tell my boss because he was like, why don't we utilize TikTok more often? And I was like, because everything that's good on TikTok ends up on Twitter. And I was like, and Twitter, for better or worse, even with the hell site it's become, that's where I am. And so if it's good, if it's funny, and like it will, if it's good enough, it'll leave TikTok and it will come to, I will see it on Twitter. So.
And the Twitter setup thing, like the TikTok setup, like to do good TikToks. I know someone who actually creates content that drives like she has a lot of followers, but she spends a lot of her time doing it. It's not like she does a short thing. It's like those little videos that she puts together take a while. She puts production into them.
Yeah, I do like very basic stuff for reels for my blog because I have a blog that's actually not wrestling related at all.
Holy crap! You have other interests, Sam?
I do. No! But so for that, I have made some reels just to see, and it's always hit or miss. Like the first reel I made, I didn't think it would do that well, and it got like a crap ton of views. I think part of it's probably because I used a Harry Styles song in it, so that's probably part of what it was. But then like I've made other reels that I thought was gonna do better, and then they have just done okay, and which I don't care. I mean, I'm just kind of trying to get some stuff out there, and but yeah, so I know, and I just spend a little bit of time making them, so I know that people really put a lot of effort into the stuff, and good for them, because
this is like exactly like
go ahead. No, go ahead, leave that up, and I'll put
it.
But Daza, we were both trying to put your comment up at the same time. So
this is I work in a bookshop, and if the author gets big on TikTok, we ended up selling hundreds of their books, and I believe it.
Good for them.
But I mean, it's a platform that works, but just like any other platform, you have to work it. Yep. It's a tool. It's a platform. It's something that, I mean, even us, when we're doing YouTube, we're trying to get, I mean, this is like the people we have here are already here. And that's why we ask you guys to help talk, do talk to us on Facebook, do talk to us where, I mean, I think we have a good presence.
I was watching a Dropkick the other day, and I was like, need some Dropkick gifts. We used to talk about that all the time in our early episodes. Send me your best. Who did a Dropkick the other night? And I was
there you go, Sam. You can subscribe to the Facebook there.
Yeah.
I just put it on the screen. So.
Yes.
None of you audio listeners can see that. So.
Yes.
You can't see the banners.
You cannot see the banners, but we are.
And you can't see our cute logo. But anyway. We should talk about some wrestling.
We should. But yeah, somebody did a drop kick the other night, and I was hoping I would remember who it was. And I was like, and it made me think of, obviously, Okada. Then I thought of Shibata because he dabbed after his that he did on Rampage. And then I was like, hey, we haven't asked for drop kick gifts in a while on Twitter.
There we go. That's our new request.
And your destroyers. Send me all of your destroyers.
Well, I mean, you can always send Sam destroyers. And
yes, like we talked about last week, I do love all the flippy stuff, but I also enjoy the big medium and slapping meat. So
I always think of you when I have when I see a big. I mean, now that you really turn it, you're just like, I'm like, oh, this is one. Sam's gonna love this.
Yes, I'm glad that you think of me.
It's we wrestling. Okay,
all right. So.
I think the thing is that we're a little traumatized. There's a lot of betrayal.
There was a lot.
Dynamite.
There was a lot of betrayal because Wednesday was bad I guess technically back at Full Gear, betraying people on my birthday. What the hell's wrong with you?
Like a whole week's worth of betrayal here. What is this?
William Regal, it's my birthday. Why are you betraying John Moxley on my birthday? Damn it.
That's because you keep asking those lady questions.
Hi, Brad. He made it. Yay.
Hey, Brad, welcome. Thank
Glad you made it. We've just been talking about some shop things and how we're on multiple podcatchers, I guess, now.
I don't know.
And we had a discussion about inaugural versus first annual.
Yeah.
We are team inaugural.
Cleared that up.
And so now we are on to the wrestling and the betrayal. A week's worth of betrayal, as you put it.
The week previous to us, Thanksgiving week, it started out the weekend before, all the way through to the end, the very end, early in the afternoon.
Daza said, of course, it was Regal that did the betrayal. He's English. We're always the bad guy.
I mean, it is Thanksgiving. You guys aren't trying to wreck it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was.
It all makes sense.
It's hundreds of years. Now that is what I call receipts right there.
Right. And then England versus USA played soccer on Friday before Rampage, and I don't know anything about soccer and I don't keep up with it, but I got alerts and saw that it was a draw. And that I saw some people were mad because they were saying that the US basically could have won and then didn't follow through. And I was like, oh, wow, this sounds like baseball.
Here's the problem. And I say this as a football player since I was 5 years old. Not the NFL, but an actual world football player. And I played competitively. I played club. That was my sport. That's the thing that, shaped me. And the US, we don't have the commitment level and we don't have the patience. and because America is only interested in soccer once every 4 years or every other 2 years because of the Summer Olympics or the World Cup.
Right.
Whereas the literal, and I mean complete and total other rest of the entire world is interested in football all the time.
Yeah.
It's part of it. So it's kind of funny, but I mean, I love the sport. I'll always watch when it's worth watching, but I like to watch the women's national team more than the men's national team because I don't think that the international bodies that govern these things, here's me getting all hoity-toity about it, handled the men's national team
right
the way that they should.
We'll
never be able to play the Europe, and our American men will never be able to play the world style of football because we just don't function that way. We're too strong-headed. It's okay. It's not our thing. We literally win at everything else. We have to be bad at something.
Apparently, it's soccer.
Football.
Yeah, I saw the thing about that. It's called soccer. I saw that going around on Friday, and there was pictures, and I saw people had it taped on there, or it had signs that said it's called soccer. I was like, oh boy.
Oh Jesus! Us versus the world with everything all the time.
Of course.
Really, guys, can't we just enjoy?
No, apparently not.
Join the world. Everyone's happy. It's the World Cup. It's fun to watch. Soccer's a very good game. I'm going to call it soccer.
So we're bringing it back to wrestling, which is where
that was
going. Brad pointed out that William Regal is the villain. No, he's not. Have you heard the way he talks to Excalibur? It says,
okay.
That's like people being surprised that someone named Evil was in fact evil and turned on Lij. And then how did that work out? Terribly. That was bad.
Evil.
I hated that for Evil because I do like him, but House of Torture is not. I don't know why that's
Evil.
What
you used to be evil in the best way. You used to be like,
and now he's part of Lij.
Nice, and now you're. Now you're evil. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole episode for me.
Yeah.
So I love that you titled
bringing
this.
Up some Brad's triggering Mel over here.
Yeah, right.
What the evil, but he is correct.
Excellent.
He is a villain, and he did live up to it, and it was perfectly done because I didn't see it coming. I think most of us got swerved on it.
Oh, the William Regal betrayal.
Yeah.
Oh.
The swerving. Yeah.
You know what? Maybe it's my fault that I listened to too many, including some of our fight game brethren who actually were talking about this exact possibility, and my wrestling group as well. I would love that, Daza. I would love that. I've seen the stadiums, a lot of the stadiums that are ginormous. But Daza is offering, if I ever come to England, to take me to a proper football match. And
as he should.
I mean, I've been to Ireland. I have only ever been to the airport in London. So it got me to the continent. I've been to Ireland. I've been to Germany, but I have yet to do anything other than land in England. So one day, I would love to go to like a Rev Pro show in England, though. That's the kind of thing.
Same.
Like you could do a whole tour. Because of my friend who is Irish, we talked about this, is that there's a whole tour that you could essentially do with England and Ireland and the continent of indies.
If I were to do that, I would definitely want to hit up OTT.
Oh, you love OTT.
For sure. I would, yeah. Yeah, but Rev Pro Rev Pro is definitely somewhere I'd want to hit up too. Yeah.
OTT is my jam. That was OTT. When they first started, but that like me going to the OTT match when we went to Ireland was what got me back.
I can imagine. I've only seen a few OTT shows, but they were awesome.
Oh, they're great. And their production is awesome. And
oh my God. Their promos like the vignettes that they put out are like
their hype packages are boss. They do such an incredible job. I think it's Matt Macklin over there, but OTT, they're online. Some of the best like hype packages ever.
Yeah.
And now they have a new official venue in Dublin that's really close to like where the stuff drops off, and it's right near a pub and the whole thing. So I'm really excited to like couple years more. I mean, we'll definitely get back there, but we have other.
That's awesome.
I have to go to Forbidden Door 2 first.
Yes. Forbidden Door 2 is definitely on the bucket list for sure.
Look at us. We're still trying to avoid the fact that I love how you called it, how he gave it the Scar treatment.
Yeah, I saw, because he did. I mean, because I thought about it then, and then I've seen some other references to it. I was like, well, we'll just call it the Scar treatment, because that's exactly what John Moxley did.
Oh my God.
So on Wednesday,
his uncle killed his dad, and now he's...
Like, listen, I love William Regal, but I really wanted John Moxley to just beat his ass. It's like, and then Danielson's like, he has brain bleeds, and John Moxley was like, that's a him problem. Like, I'll just give him another one. He was just like, what do you want me to do about it? And I like how Excalibur just like barely acknowledged Regal when he was out there, and I was like, you betrayed him. How can you betray Man in the Mask? That's probably the worst part of it. Not that you cost Mox the title, but it's that you betrayed Man in the Mask after.
Not that you fundamentally destroyed your faction, or
no. The worst part is you broke Man in the Mask's heart, you jerk.
We're not going to get the wonderful interaction between him.
I know. I'm so sad about it.
Jeez, God, but I mean. That's the problem with heels. They're gonna heel. I mean, Regal's always the villain. He's always been the villain.
Not William Regal, damn it. God. He's like, yes, William Regal. But yeah, so I thought it was really interesting because Mox told him, he said to run as far as he can and never come back, which is exactly what happened in The Lion King. That's what Scar told Simba. Because he told him he killed his father. And John Moxley must have been watching The Lion King and was like, I'm going to use this on William Regal.
And what you right away, you get out of here and you never come back again.
So, yeah. And I saw the comments about like, they thought that means William Regal's gone from the company. And I hope that's not what happened. I don't know that you would do a big story like that, and then because that's not really payoff. You've started another storyline. I don't think William Regal can leave right now. I don't think that he's gone, because people are saying, somebody said they heard somewhere that he signed a short-term deal I don't know how accurate that is. And so that people took it as he was being written out of the company.
Wow, I didn't think of it that way. I thought of it as just another
Thank you, Brad. Brad says that Alvarez confirmed that he's not close to the end of the contract. Thank you. I had not heard. I had just heard speculation that it was a short-term deal. So, and then obviously we talked about at the beginning of the show, Triple H was trolling last night with his War Games videos. So luckily he did not come last night.
Well, it makes me worry when I hear stuff like that too, because the guy has had so many,
maybe they're just giving him some time off. Maybe that's a lot of work. Maybe he's been doing a lot of work.
Well, they have. I mean, they have kind of been carrying the company a little bit.
Yeah, and he's been on TV pretty much. I think he's been on TV like every week since he's been there. If it's not been every week, like it's been
damn near on close. A lot.
Yeah, so maybe he just needs to take some time off for his health, or maybe he just is like, maybe just like Jon Moxley, he needs a vacation. Maybe if Jon Moxley gets 6 weeks off, William Regal also gets 6 weeks off.
I mean, they do have a couple of things they need to build towards coming up, like having people go away and come back always does sort of work.
Yeah. It's just I haven't listened
to today's Observer Radio, so I not caught up.
And we've talked about how like Full Gear seemed to kind of be resetting for the new year. Like a lot of things, there's a lot of fractures in factions. There's a lot of breakups. We saw some more of it on Rampage. So it seems like they're definitely resetting for the new year. Just like they reset their records, they're apparently resetting some of their other stuff. So
plus we have 5 more Young Bucks versus Death Triangle.
I'm all for it. I'm here for it.
I mean, we have plenty of things to watch.
Yeah, we do. And so I guess that the timing is just really interesting, and it's kind of bringing back Danielson was the one who had to talk Mox down, and we've seen the two of them already before Blackpool. They were kind of fighting each other. Yuta's mad at Danielson, so it seems like they're still together, but there's definitely some cracks. And like, where do you go?
BCC is not fine.
No, they are not fine. And so where do you go from here? If Regal, Regal betrayed all of them, but he cost Jon Moxley the title. Like, where do you go from there? Like, how do they come together? Like, is this going to be the thing that destroys them, or is this the thing that's going to make them the strongest? Because I don't see how you can break up Blackpool Combat Club just because they have been one of the biggest things that happened this year. They're 4 of the best that you could possibly have. Like, I just don't see. And then now we've got, so one of the things that did happen on Rampage was that Claudio, so we saw a little bit of the tease Wednesday night. Claudio came out after Jericho somehow beat Ishii. I don't know how he survived that because that match was crazy, and I wanted them to belt Ishii right then and there. It's like, just put it on him, you cowards. Just give it to him. But so Claudio came out on Rampage. Jericho was talking about who's gonna dethrone me and all this crap. And so of course Claudio comes out, and Claudio is like, I haven't been able to sleep since Saturday. I can't even concentrate on Blackpool Combat Club falling apart and Regal betraying everybody, because I'm focused on the fact that I have beaten you before, but when it counts, I cannot beat you. And I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't think about anything else. I need another shot at this title. And so Daddy Magic is like, I remember that you used to be a sports entertainer.
Entertainer.
And you used to be one of those, and you were really good at it. And I think you would be an excellent addition to the Jericho Appreciation Society, which sure he would. It's Claudio. So the new thing is, so they are wrestling at Final Battle. I believe this is the main event for Final Battle.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And the stipulation is that if Claudio loses, he has to join JAS. And I think that's what they're going to do.
I think so too. It seems pretty.
I think, because, we've talked about this many times on here. I've talked about it on Twitter a lot. I don't understand how you can't build a company around Claudio. think that's dumb as hell because Claudio is amazing and he's awesome. And
maybe he'll be like the anchor to JAS when Jericho has to go build ROH on whatever TV or streaming deal they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole reason they put
that'll
the title
keep
on Jericho
like
was
Claudio
to sell a TV deal. But so yeah, I think that's where they're going with this. I think Claudio is going to unfortunately lose to Jericho once again. And I think he's going to join JAS. So what do you do with how does that going to impact Blackpool Combat Club? Maybe they'll swap him out, send Daniel Garcia.
There you go.
Send him to BCC in exchange for Claudio. I mean, get Daniel Garcia the hell away from them.
Oh, there you go. That's an even trade. I think that's fair.
I think it's a fair trade. God, can you? So yeah, Mox and Danielson with Yuta and Garcia. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm here. I'm game.
So it'll be interesting how that plays out. But I think.
What is your interest level on this ROH pay-per-view?
I love Final Battle is I've always really enjoyed. I'm interested just because, I mean, especially because we've got, what is it, the King of TV, I believe is what Samoa Joe is calling himself.
Yeah.
And so we've got him there. It looks like Athena versus Mercedes is going to happen for the women's title. I really hope they're not going to take the title off Mercedes, but it kind of feels like that's what they're going to do.
I really hope they don't.
I think Athena is the bigger name, and if they are trying to sell a TV or streaming deal, they're kind of going to do the same thing because you have Samoa Joe 2 belts, you've got Jericho with the belt. If they put the belt on Athena, they have that. I don't necessarily think that's the right call. I do love Athena, and I'm not taking anything away from her. But Mercedes has not gotten a fair shake as a champion. I mean, she was out for some time because she was injured, but she was defending her title on YouTube. Again, I got to see them, so I'm not completely mad at it. But I don't like the way they've handled her. But Athena has gotten some buzz around her because of how I guess violent she's been, and and so I kind of see the momentum they have with her. So I kind of think that's what they're gonna. I think that's where that's going. I think Athena is gonna probably win at Final Battle, which I'm not.
That means that Tony Khan is building his sale of ROH on former WWE talent.
Which is what he's kind of done that with AEW. I mean, Jericho was the first champion.
Yeah, you're right.
So but it's kind of like.
So maybe that means he'll definitely get a TV deal, and can actually start separating the two.
It makes me wonder though, like, had Adam Cole been able to come back sooner from his concussion, would Adam Cole be in Chris Jericho's position? Because Adam Cole he was an ROH champion. He was synonymous with ROH for a very long time, just like Roderick Strong was. He's obviously been in WWE. He was huge and undisputed. Could he have potentially have been in that spot? But because of his concussion, has that changed their plans, or was the plan always for it to be Jericho? I don't, that's I'm kind of worried, curious about that. And then, so I do hope that they're separating them out some more. But yes, Brad makes an excellent point. NXT was built on former ROH talent. Seems only right for the ROH to be built on former WWE talent, which, that's an excellent point. And that's probably part of the reason I loved Black and Gold NXT, because a lot of it was ROH guys that I loved, and the style of wrestling that I loved from ROH. So that Brad makes a very fair point there. So I'm excited for Final Battle. I hope they don't wait till the last damn minute to, like they did with Full Gear, to get some of the stuff on there. But
that seems like something that Tony Khan does a lot. Mm-hmm. He's done it that goes. I feel like that goes all the way back to Forbidden Door, where everyone was like, "There's no build."
Well, that I think was a little different.
Obviously, that was a little more difficult because you were trying to herd cats and stuff for all of that.
Well, you couldn't get them here, and then there was a million injuries, and
right.
But I think regardless, I think Final Battle will deliver.
I think we've noticed because we've seen curious because it's
Tony he's proven himself as far as I give him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to pay-per-views, because he's always delivered. There's never been a bad pay-per-view, even if it hasn't been amazing. It's never been bad. It's always been good. There's always been cool stuff to come out of it. I'm hoping that maybe during Final Battle, maybe they'll announce a deal for what's coming next. Or maybe Final Battle is what pushes them over, like maybe they're being looked at to get a streaming deal or a TV deal or whatever it is, and then maybe Final Battle pushes them over the edge and gets them that deal. So maybe he's booking for that. It kind of, but it kind of seems like when he books ROH, it is because they're building it for TV/streaming.
Yeah.
And then I guess introducing it to people who didn't really watch, because somebody responded to my comment the other day because I again was fussing about Claudio not being champion, and they were like, because nobody gave a shit about ROH for the last 10 years. I was like, you are sadly mistaken, because I went to a lot of ROH shows and those places were packed. I mean, yeah, a lot of it was because of the Young Bucks and Cody, and it is on ROH. We're not booking past them, but like there was, I mean, there was Dalton Castle, who they had, Dalton Castle was champion for a while. They had Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole and stuff like that. So they had, obviously they lost them to WWE, and ROH made a lot of mistakes booking wise because they focused a lot on the Elite, but the Elite was what was bringing them money. And so so there was a lot of really good stuff there. And then there was even like, I mean, Trent and Chucky T were there as well. They had a lot of fun matches and things like that. And so, but yeah,
I mean, SCU weren't most of them in ROH. Mm-hmm. I mean, people Scorpio, like completely overlook like that. Mm-hmm. Like they were a huge gimmick for a long time.
And they were putting up because Kaz and Christopher Daniels are still putting on bangers like 25 years later. And I'm waiting for Access will usually put the Impact pay-per-views on TV like 4 or 6 weeks after the
fact. They've been good on the turnaround, actually.
And I've been really excited about that. Heard that because a friend of Josiah, who's a friend of our show, and he covers Impact now, and he was saying that was probably Kaz's best match he's ever had, and that's saying something because Kaz put on a lot of really good matches. So I'm really looking forward to his match against Josh Alexander, and because Kaz can still go, and so I would like to see. I mean, hopefully, I guess when ROH is wherever they're going to be, Kaz will probably be there, and he should be, because Kaz is still amazing. Like he puts on so many great matches. Like he's always one of those, like I'm never surprised, but I'm also like, I'm just always, I guess, impressed with him. Like I know he's going to put on a really good solid match, and then he still like goes above and beyond like what I'm expecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Daza says the ROH in the early 2000s kept his interest in modern wrestling alive. I hope Khan does something with it. Me too, Daza. I really, and
I mean, God, I don't think that you would put it on the TV as much as you are and risk your Dynamite audience getting
And see, I don't understand that argument. You're getting good wrestling. What the hell? What are you? Why are you mad?
It's just that I'm not mad at like
not you in general. I'm just talking. I don't understand why fans are mad about it. You're getting good wrestling. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, no, that part
it's not like they're feeding you bad matches. You're getting very good matches.
Well, that is. I mean, that is the end game. It's like somebody was like complaining, and what is the Danielson match I just lost? It's that's coming up this week.
Oh, it's
oh my God, it's so obvious. He asked for it.
It's Dax, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
When Dax Harwood asked for Bryan Danielson, and it's like, oh, they're gonna like let him like singles wrestle and not put FTR over. I'm like, FTR is over. They are way the F over.
Nikki was joking. She was like, why is only he getting the singles match? Like, why isn't Cash getting the singles match?
But then I thought it was really funny because even Dave Meltzer was like, somebody online said something. He's like, can you imagine somebody being mad about Dax Harwood
for free?
Bryan Danielson?
That's like the people who were mad about Shibata and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, cry me a river.
Brad says that he's very interested to see he gets moved to ROH once TV starts. Brad and I have talked about, I've talked about it on here as well, but Brad and I have had the conversation that we hope that Work Horsemen get moved over and that they are featured heavily in their tag team
really
division.
Good fit over there.
Yeah. And so Brad said, Brad makes another good point. Would we have gotten Ishii versus Jericho without ROH? That was beautiful, violent art. It was. That was an incredible match. And I don't know if we would have gotten that without ROH. That was very similar to a lot of the things that ROH was doing. So,
I mean, it's an unconventional thing that Tony Khan's doing, so I think that with the
I'm just enjoying it because we get cool matchups.
You're like, I just don't care. I'm watching good wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I care about.
I mean, at the end of the day, that is the argument that Trump solves. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, I get the argument.
Turn it off.
But on the other hand, I'm like, oh, awesome! I get this match. I get Shibata versus Orange Cassidy. Cool. Yeah. I get Ishii versus Jericho. Awesome.
Yep. It's true. On television.
For free. Yeah. So, I mean, I get some of it, but on the other hand, at the end of the day, it's awesome wrestling. And we all knew this coming into it, that him acquiring ROH until there was a TV deal, and he's putting people on there that people want to see anyway. He's putting Samoa Joe on TV. Like, people want to see him. Like,
yeah.
Daza said, I could rant on how wrestling fans are so spoiled today and don't know it. I first got into wrestling when weekly shows were nothing but squashes.
Right.
Yeah. You make an excellent point. And I'm not saying that their criticisms aren't valid and things like that. But I mean, it also goes back. Sometimes we all know wrestling fans just bitch. Some of them do.
I mean, I think it's like every cultural, I think it's every cultural niche has its thing about its thing. But in this particular case, I think that's an excellent point. I know, and I don't, I'm not like, wrestling fans hate wrestling more than anybody. And I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. Back the truck up a little. Yeah. You're being a little bit over the top. But yes, I think the reality is that there is a little bit of entitlement, like where we're just like, we've gotten spoiled. We really have gotten spoiled. Well, because now we can access anything we want, anytime we want, basically. I mean,
there's so many options out there now. I mean, like we've talked about, like, that's why I don't watch WWE anymore, because I have access to other things that I like and that like makes me happy. And so I would rather spend time, especially now that I'm not timing women's matches, which I want to say real quick. I didn't time the match last night, but Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi Blackheart, I think, was like 5 minutes. It was, I mean, it was not a good match to begin with. The match was not good. And so it probably didn't need a long time, but they got a very short time. So it was just.
I think we're gonna have to. The elephant in the room needs to be discussed, because the other betrayal is we're gonna have to confront this. A little boy's dreams being crushed on national freaking television on a holiday weekend.
Like, it played out so well, but it still hurt.
I know. Actually, Dave pointed out that -1 has such good instincts for where he's supposed to be.
Oh my God. Well,
and he's like a little, I mean, I worked with kids, so I understand that kids are,
a lot of them
like, way smarter than people give them credit for. They treat them like they're not little humans that are thinking machines, but they actually are very like. And this kid is like prime.
He's like a natural. Like, if this is,
I mean, he came out during
stick on, like, he.
It was his like. Playing into it made it hurt more.
Yeah, it really did. So, okay, if you don't know, we'll go ahead and get into it. So I know some of you do not watch Rampage. I understand why.
Shall I put up the Brad's favorite picture?
Yeah, we're
about to spoil Rampage from this past Friday at 4 p.m. So there it is. Your spoiler
so this was the Black
graphic.
Friday edition, and so they put it on at 4:00 in the afternoon. And
because everyone was shopping.
Yeah, so the story has been kind of playing out for the last couple of months. It started with Andrade was trying to recruit 10, and then Jose, the assistant, whose last name is the assistant, according to John Silver.
I want that. See, I would totally get business cards if that were my name.
You should.
I would. This is me. This is where I'm at.
And then, as John Silver also calls him, Roosh Bag.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie, because I am so easy when it comes to like puns and so and like, portmanteau. But when he called him Roosh Bag for the first time, it legitimately popped me.
Me too.
I was like, you know what? I give up. You win.
We do love the Meat Man. I heard them talking. I did hear that part yesterday of when I listened to the Hollaboon. We do love the Meat Man. He's great. But yeah, so it's very Rushbag is very childish, and I love it. But yes, they've been trying to recruit 10. 10's been very against it, or seemingly has been very against it. And then on BTE is back. Yay! So on Monday on BTE, Silver, Reynolds, and Evil Uno can't find 10. Like, they keep calling him. They're leaving. John Silver was leaving very inappropriate messages. Then he was leaving very angry messages. And then Reynolds is leaving messages. Evil Uno, he's not responding. They cannot find him. So it spills over into Friday. Mark Henry does his thing, and where he interviews the people, and it was supposed to be a 6-man match. It was supposed to be Silver, Reynolds, and 10 versus Roosh. Is it Roosh, Bandito, and no, not Bandito. It was Roosh, Butcher, and Blade.
That's it.
Was the match. And so they're interviewing them, and they're like, where's 10? We can't find 10. And they're like, I don't know. Evil Uno's gone to look for him. So they start the match, and it's a handicap match. They are just beaten. They are having a hard time beating the numbers game. We see 10. Evil Uno comes out. 10 comes running down, and 10 glares at Roosh, and it almost seemed like, okay, was he being held somewhere? Like, did they lock him away so that he couldn't compete? And then he decides that he's going to, I think he clotheslined John Silver, and he set Roosh up for the win. And so everybody's like, commentary's freaking out. They throw Evil Uno into the steps. They get him in, and then to make matters worse, 10 does the discus lariat, which was Mr. Brody Lee's finisher. So he's just needling in everything.
Rubbing all the salt and all the wounds.
Yeah. And then they start ripping Evil Uno's mask off. His face is bleeding. And they cut to -1, who is distraught. He's rubbing his eyes like he's crying, and he's just heartbroken. And then to really, really, really seal in the heel turn, 10 comes and stands directly in front of 10, undoes the mask that Brody Lee gave him, and throws it down at his feet. Then he goes behind -1, and -1 has the mask in his hands. He holds it up to his head, and he grins. And then it just cuts off. Oh my God. This was so well done, but oh my God, it made me so mad and broke my heart. And I was very happy with the way it turned out, because I think this is huge for 10. And it was just all of it. It was perfect the way that it played out. And then I remembered, Nikki and I actually remembered right around, hang on, Brad says the shot of -1 kneeled down holding the mask with 10 and Roosh holding their hands up was so great. Yeah, that was perfect. So Nikki reminded me, and Nikki and I actually talked about it at the same time. So I interviewed 10 last year before Rampage was going to be a thing. And 10 and I talked about his relationship with Brody Jr. And Brody Jr., this was actually Brody Jr.'s idea, because Brody told him before, if you aren't 10 anymore and I come back in 10 years, I'm going to be the one to give you your mask. So, and he was talking about how Brody is so smart, and he's smarter than he's so much wiser than his age. He just gets it, and he comes to me with all of his ideas, and he was like, they FaceTimed all the time, and they're really close, especially since Brody Lee passed away. And so even though it was really hard to watch, and it was really, really well done, it also gives me a lot of satisfaction, because a lot of it was -1's idea.
That's amazing.
I don't know who was the one who made it happen and went to Tony and be like, this is what we should do. This is how we should do it. I was not expecting, I should have been, because it was Thanksgiving and he wouldn't have been in school. I was not expecting -1 to be out
right
there.
Yep.
And then it just spiraled. And I was like, oh my God. But yeah, it was, I loved it and I hated it. But I think it's and then to make it even more interesting, Amanda Huber was tweeting.
Oh, I know. She was like, her tweets were so deep cut.
Yeah, because she said, because the last line of the first tweet was, looking back, he was wrong in picking you. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like,
and we all know who she's talking
about. Yeah. And so 10 was quote tweeting her, and then she'd quote tweeted back, and they were just exchanging things. And I tweeted that I wanted Amanda Huber versus 10 at Revolution.
There we go. First match. Boom.
Yeah. So yeah, and so I really enjoyed that they're playing, that Amanda is playing into it too, and helping to get. And then 10 was like, because I follow him on Twitter, so he was retweeting like people mad at him. I mean, he was retweeting the people who enjoyed it, and they're like, this is the best thing for 10. 10's gonna be great with, like, I think this is the best thing for him to do in this part of his career. Like, Dark Order was holding him back, this type of thing. But then he was retweeting all the people who were mad at him for breaking -1's heart. And turning on Dark Order, and like, so he's been fun to watch on Twitter, and so I'm really interested to see where this goes with him. I think 10 is definitely an underrated talent, and I guess he won't be 10 anymore. I guess he'll be Preston Vance.
Preston Vance now.
So I have to get used to calling him Preston or Vance. But yeah, so a lot of betrayal this week.
A lot. It was heavy.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are talking about that story, which I think is the important thing, is, people are talking about 10, and that's not something that happens very often. Brad said, I love that he could be Brody picking him for Dark Order. He could be -1 choosing 10 as his hero, which, that's really, because I assumed Brody Lee, but it could be, right. It could be -1 because he did pick him. And so it very well could be that. Dazzle said, there's so many taking issue with all this, and Amanda's sweet, so I think it's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah, she used to be a wrestler too. Like, that's how she met.
Well, she gets it. Yeah,
that's how she met Brody.
Well, I think for me, I know that she runs most of the outreach stuff. So when it comes to all the community outreach stuff that AEW does, she is one of the people that, like, she's sort of the leader of all of that. Yeah. So this storyline will elevate her, and people will start following her, and it will help. It will ultimately, in the long term, it will help the outreach programs.
Yeah, and I didn't think of that, but that's true.
And one of the outreach programs that they have is the one that is in Brody Lee's name to help people whose careers, younger people whose careers were derailed by losing a parent or loved one early in their life. And as someone who lost their dad when they were 20, that's something that I'm like, I mean, when I look at what goes on with Brody Lee and how well and the kids, both of them, all of them are taken care of, and how well that company has taken care of them, that's a very personal thing, because the importance of having that level of the support system under the circumstances, it's invaluable. And I'm like, I love those people. I don't even know them and love them, but love them because
I think so many.
I know what they are doing is something that will influence those kids' lives in a way that is inexplicable to people, unless you. I mean, tragedy is a pain in the ass, and these guys are well supported. And again, it's another reflection of the company at large, which is why, like you said, it's the same reason. Like, you're going to get my money every time because you don't let me down.
Right.
And they have
that built-in trust and goodwill. And then, like you said, when they do things like this, like, that just helps, further that. And it helps that you can see, like, I think, because so many times, I mean, listen, AEW is not perfect. There's a lot of issues.
No, of
I mean,
course,
and I don't want to say that all, but when you come from a company where you're the main company you watch, and you see the way that people are treated there versus the way they're treated here. I mean, I know you can make some arguments about Andrade and things like that, maybe not, him wanting to leave and having to stay there. And so, of course, those are, valid discussions, but I think overall, like, as a company, they treat people like human beings. And I think that's a huge,
there's a lot of dignity and respect within the company
Yes.
that is extended to everybody. They don't get treated like trash.
Well, and even like
but again, I for me, it's as someone with that background, I just love the idea that like Amanda Huber, it will elevate her, and that will elevate the platforms that she supports,
which is incredible. That's an incredible, like we're getting an amazing story. They're pushing
plus wrestling.
They're telling we're getting an amazing story. They're pushing Tin, who is a younger guy who could, he could potentially be a big star for them. And then at the same time, you're still including -1. You're still making him feel involved. And so that was kind of the thing, is like, what happens if Dark Order goes away? Because Dark Order has been there from the very beginning. I mean, it was a really, really rough start from them in the beginning. Bless Silver and Reynolds, because those two have stuck it out. And then, of course, I mean, yes, Brody Lee, his passing, definitely, they turned them into it, because people love them so much, they turned into baby faces, and they kind of went with the story. They like the Acclaimed, like they kind of just followed what the fans wanted.
Evolved with what they saw was in front of them.
And so and now it'll be interesting. So and also Dark Order doesn't have Hangman Page either. Like and
I think that day, like, I think that we can pretty confidently say that, like, stepdad Hangman to the Dark Order being cool stepdad, like that's gone now.
That's gone.
The next thing that Hangman does is going to have nothing to do with the Dark Order.
Right.
Most likely it's going to have to do with Hangman. And
right. And we talked about that prior to his concussion, was, when he wrestled Mox for the title, and we were like, obviously, most likely Mox is going to win this, and they'll set up Mox versus MJF, and we knew that pretty much was the whole story. So even then, you and I questioned, like, what's next for Hangman? Like, what are they going to do for him? He doesn't have like a clear path forward. Obviously, he's out now because of his concussion. We don't know when he's going to be back. He seems to be doing well. I saw he was at WrestleCade yesterday, and I saw a picture of somebody that actually I follow her. Micnax is the name of her company, because I bought some Rainmaker earrings from her for Nikki for Christmas last year.
Nice.
But she made Hangman this cute little keychain that says "Anxious Millennial Cowboy," and just the smile on his face, like, he was so happy, and he looks really great. So I hope, and Tony mentioned it on the media call, that he's doing well. Didn't give a timetable for his return, which I'm glad that they treat concussions very seriously. So we don't know when we'll see him again, but like you said, most likely he will not be involved with Dark Order. Evil Uno doesn't have Stu Grayson anymore. We don't see, Colt Cabana's not there. Tin is gone. Tin has been tweeting about how he's glad that everybody's mad at Tin, because and he said Tin was always his favorite member of Dark Order. And so Alan Angels is being a little he's over in Violent by Design now. If you're not watching Impact, he joined like 2 episodes ago, so you're officially joined. But so now it's just Silver, Reynolds and Evil Uno, and they're kind of this little lost, kind of like Hangman was. They're lost. They don't know where they're going. Like, how do you come back from Tin, who was handpicked by Brody Lee? Brody Lee was your leader, and obviously you carried on without him, and now all these people are gone, and it's just the 3 of them. So do they become a trios now? Do Silver and Reynolds?
I mean, we need trios for trios belts.
And they could even, I don't know that they would move them to Ring of Honor just because they are fairly popular, but Dalton Castle and the boys are the 6-man champions in ROH. So is that a trios that gets moved to ROH so that they have some more competition? Do they get the trios title when they move to ROH, or if they get moved to, I should say? So it's kind of interesting to see, like, we've talked about all these fractures in these factions now heading into this new year. And so now Dark Order is one of them. And it'll be interesting to see if they stay together, or if, maybe Silver goes on a singles run. Maybe Reynolds goes on a singles run. They could even do it with Evil Uno. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of, and then how is Tin gonna fare being with with Roosh and Bandito and Jose the assistant. Like, how is that going to work out? 10 is still, he's still pretty fresh. And, Amanda alluded to the fact that they will use you until they don't need you anymore.
Yeah, right.
So, so how will that work out? Will they, it'll be interesting to see how they I guess they're going to push him maybe in a more singles type of style now. Even though he will still be in, Los Ingobernables, but how that works out. So it's really interesting because, I get it because 10 is a good wrestler and I think he's definitely overlooked. But it'll be interesting to see how he develops a character and develops as his own person. And we get to see, I guess, Preston Vance now. So I think that'll be really interesting to see how all this plays out, especially, and of course, because clearly right now he does not care about -1, but then that, but maybe he will. Eric Rowan will join Dark Order. Hey, you know what? It's possible. He's not signed anywhere.
Anything is possible in wrestling.
And and people wondered if he'd be part of the Wyatt Six. And there's still some question about, if he'll be involved with Bray Wyatt at all. But I mean, he could end up in AEW. I could see that happening. That's a really good point. He could be. So,
all right.
Many possibilities.
So though, I've got to ask you the question that everybody I didn't really want, but I was like, we probably should talk about this real quick because it is the big thing that has been going on wrestling everything. and the question is, do you think CM Punk is coming back?
This is sometimes I think yes and sometimes I think no. There was something that came out yesterday saying that CM Punk wants to be bought out of his contract. I don't know how accurate that is.
I mean, that's been the prevailing.
Yeah, so that's always been kind of
has been reporting in the newsletter. That's been the prevailing assumption. So there is that
possibility. Regardless, I don't think anything is happening one way or another until he is healed from surgery because he got injured at their show. They are paying his medical bills. That's what they do.
This is something that I think everyone forgets is that no matter what happened that night, whether the Great Muffin incident had happened or not, he was still injured where he wouldn't have been able to carry the title past that point anyway.
Yeah. So regardless, outside of all of that stuff, and I think people do forget. So I think we're outside of that.
It's easy to forget a lot of shit happened. There were chairs and dogs and
yeah, and so they were talking about and he had to have surgery pretty quickly because they didn't want the muscle to atrophy. And so from what I have heard, surgery went well. He seems to be healing well, but he is also 44 years. I think he just turned 44 or he's 40. He's either 43 or 40. I think he just turned 44. So, I mean, obviously, regardless of all of this, he was on the back end of his career anyway. It's not like it's not necessarily in the New Japan type of way where they can go into their 50s and 60s.
But those guys still work out and stuff. Punk is took a 7-year hiatus. We have no idea what level of he could have been doing DDP yoga or nothing.
Exactly. So regardless, he's gonna be out he would have been because I think originally when he had surgery, they said he was going to be out 8 months.
8 months, 6 to 8 months for that specific. That injury is a 6 to 8 months.
Right.
And it usually leans towards the 8 months from what?
Right. And then you have to throw in his age, and he's already been injured on top of that because he had the ankle or the foot injury, and so regardless, I don't think we will know anything until that. And so I see both sides of it. I see obviously the money there. He is somebody who brings them a lot of money. He brings them ratings. He brings in a lot, outside of all of the other crap. If you just put that aside for a minute, I get from the business standpoint, I get bringing him back. And there are stories you can tell, especially with Kenny Omega stuff. You can see, you can see
Kenny Omega, MJF. I mean, there's stories to be told.
Regardless of what you think of CM Punk as a person, the stuff he did with MJF is one of the best things that happened in AEW this year. They did some incredible storytelling. They had really great matches. There's a lot that could happen with him and MJF. I don't think that's it's not, I was gonna say, I don't think it's done. I mean, it may be, obviously, depending on what they do with CM Punk, but the story has legs. Like, they could still do more with it should they bring him back. So I can see that side of things. If they do bring him back, you do have the locker room thing. You do, he would have to make a shit ton of amends. I'm not in that locker room, so I can't say, he has to do X, Y, and Z, but I would imagine there's a lot of things he would have to do. And so,
well, and I mean, you have to be honest. Like, here, we got some comments on this one. So Daza says, I don't think anything is happening now behind the scenes that's building for him to come back. Maybe he will one day, but right now I'd be shocked if that was his intention right now. I hope you're right. I really do. I mean, I get never say never. I hope you're right that he's staying out of the deal and that's it. But, and then we got Brad said,
nope, sorry. Yeah.
Did you flip me?
I did. Sorry. It's back. He
said, I thought he was gone till this Wednesday. I can't see the Elite trolling like that right after they got back from being suspended. Doing that could sabotage a buyout price.
I mean, I can see that. I think just that's who the Elite are. That's just they played it up. They knew exactly what they were doing. I thought it was really funny, and I say that as somebody who's been a long time CM Punk fan. And obviously,
I mean, it wasn't not funny. It's just the only issue that I would, and this is just a general. I don't have any. Again, I'm not in the locker room. I'm not in the management staff either. But the problem with this is that it was all funny and everything, except those guys still have vice president after their titles. And at the end of the day, one of the arguments was that these are my bosses and my bosses are acting like children.
Well,
and it's
and then that reinforces his argument.
When they act like that, they actually kind of say, again, he's right, we're children and we can't manage a target. And I'm like,
I see both sides of it.
It's so frustrating. This was a very carny. This match had a very old school carny feel.
It did. And but I enjoyed it. They did really play into the Chicago crowd. I think they came into it knowing that Chicago is going to be mean. Right. And they're going to get, you could hear it. You could hear the boos were very loud. And then it went away.
And you wonder who would pay $500 just to go to a building. Hey, can I have your money, Mr.? I just blew $500 so I could go boo John Moxley.
Well, and then it was funny because Cutler because obviously Cutler films a lot of their matches for BTE. So Cutler was in the corner and they were chanting CM Punk for him, into the camera, because they saw what happened on BTE where they left the fuck CM Punk chants in, and so I guess they were gonna see if they would leave that in, but then they got the fuck the Elite chants, they got the fuck CM Punk chants, they got both, and I think they really did just play into it because I think that was their one time to just get it out of their systems. And
since they can't say anything and they will never say anything.
Yeah. And Tony still will not say anything. I think Tony will not say anything because CM Punk is still employed there. Maybe once he's back from surgery and they figure something out, maybe we finally hear a little bit more but he is very on the media call. He just said, I won't talk about it.
I think I'm 10 years from now, he'll write a book and that's how we'll have to hear about it.
It's certainly possible. I just think as long as CM Punk is under employment there, Tony's just not going to say anything because he's still an employee. They're paying his medical bills. They're not going to, they're going to be careful with that. Daza says he does think last weekend was the Elite just using the Chicago crowd to be entertaining, just like a stand-up comedian will ad-lib when someone heckles. Agreed. I think I do get the point. They are the EVPs, and you have to be careful. That is a very fine line between EVP and performer. And you do make a good point. They were acting like children, and we've talked about this before. CM Punk probably had some valid concerns. He just really, really went about it.
I blame. I 100% to this moment. I 100% blame. This is the boss's responsibility. This is Tony Khan's responsibility. And at the end of the day, he could have. There's a lot of stuff that went on that he could have taken care of earlier. But even regardless of that, is that he could have shut down that scrum.
Somebody asked him about it again on the media call last week. They asked him why, and it was this Nick Hausman. Nick Hausman is the one who asked it.
Oh yeah.
He was the last question. It was not because people asked me. They were like, "Did they shut down the media media call because he asked this question?" No, Nick was already announced as the last caller. One. So because it was the last two were Sean Ross Sapp and Nick Hausman. And so I don't think it had anything to do with the question that was asked, but he said, why did you not shut down the scrum? When that started to get out of hand, why did you let it continue? And he gave the it's because, I was thinking about Tony Storm and I was thinking about the Acclaim, like they were going to come up here and talk to people, or not the Acclaim, I think it was Swerve in Our Glory. He was like, they were going to come talk to people. Who shut it down? Oh, well, there's reporters there. They can pull them aside and talk to them if it's that big of a deal. It shouldn't have gotten to the point. And Josiah and other people have made the point. Some people in that situation, they're not good at confrontation and they don't know how to, like, maybe he wasn't processing what was happening to the extent that, it was maybe, obviously hindsight is 2020, now he sees, oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. And, and so I get that to an extent, but on the other hand, he should have stopped it beforehand, which is the conversation we've had.
Say that, and I that's totally, like, those are totally valid points. My counter to that is he's also the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars and football. The
Fulham FC, yeah.
And you better believe he would shut a press conference down in Jacksonville if one of the players was doing some crazy crap. Like, right. And now, in fairness, that's because he owns a franchise under a company, and obviously there are different. But still, at the same time, like, you're the boss of everything, and not being able to be confrontational in a business like wrestling is probably like the worst case scenario, because you're going to need to be confrontational in that business.
There's so many things that could have happened and should have happened. Like, and I still don't understand why CM Punk went out there right after the match he just finished when he was clearly injured during the match. Like, he should have been checked out if they wanted him on the scrum, then he should have gone last, not first. They should have sent him to doc, let him get looked at, start off with Swerve in Our Glory or Tony Storm or Jericho or literally anybody else. And so there's so many things that obviously, because we weren't there and it's not our jobs. It's easy for us to say what should have happened, but
we can armchair.
But still, in that situation, and this is not to alleviate anything, that I'm not saying that CM Punk shouldn't have done what he done, because he shouldn't have, but there are other factors. Tony being right there with him should have stopped it and just shut it down right there and just been like, I'm sorry, this is something that we need to handle internally. We're just going to let CM Punk go cool off for a little bit. I'm sorry, we can't finish the scrum, or come back in an hour and you can talk to Tony Storm, there's things that could have, and I hope that there's a plan in place, because wrestlers are egotistical. Maybe it will never happen again on that level, but it's definitely possible that
we've got, not too long after that, like, didn't Andrade just like, and obviously to get fired, but like he punched Sammy. So there's all kinds of drama. There's plenty of drama left in the locker room.
There's lots of egos. You're fighting for spots. So I hope they have a plan in place should something like that ever happen again, or even come close to, like, if they get the inkling that this might turn into something, then there's got to be a plan in place to shut that shit down and to get them away, get them to somewhere quiet, get them to a room where they can throw shit if they need to. Like, there's got to be a plan in place.
Exactly.
There's got to be something so that does not happen again.
There's this decompression room that we need you to go sit in.
Yeah,
for a
right.
minute.
And listen, like, WWE, I don't think, it's not that I don't think these things happen there. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of political shit. I'm sure there's a lot of egos. I'm sure there's probably been some fist fights we don't know about, but they don't, like, I could not see Triple H letting something like that happen. Vince probably would not have let something like that happen. They would have just shut it down.
I'm not even sure most WWE superstars would dare to try some shit like that, honestly.
I mean, some of them might. We don't know.
Well, I mean,
but
yeah, CM Punk walked off the job there too, so
well,
that almost as if there's a pattern here.
No, that's a completely different situation, and that's completely different. I will not. WWE screwed him over so many fucking times, and I don't
for a future.
I don't think that has and see, but people also were waiting. Some people who do not like CM Punk were waiting for him to fuck up, and they have let that be. They've turned it in, and obviously, again, this is not me defending him because even though I'm a fan of him, I
get what you're saying.
That is not. That whole situation was, I hate that it happened, and it should not have happened, and he deserves a lot of the blame for a lot of the stuff that happened that night. But people were waiting for him to screw up, and that validated them, whether they are wrong or right. And some people treat him like, where was this energy for some of these speaking out people? Like, you didn't have any of this energy for them. Some people did.
No one has energy for that stuff. Sam.
Yeah,
but I'm like, the stuff that matters.
He screwed up. AEW's doing fine without him. They'll continue without him. I don't want to say he's a cog in the machine because that's how WWE views these people. But AEW, clearly, they can still keep going. They kept going without the Elite. They'll continue to go. But some of these people, like, what he did was terrible and wrong, and he should be held accountable for it. But good Lord, you act like I was gonna say kicked a dog, but
Kenny saved the dog. There was no.
Yes, I was like, so not that. But
anyway, I don't think that he would. I mean, to Punk's just defense, I don't think he'd kick his own dog.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think he likes.
I hope not.
But I'd hope not too.
Then he would be a shithead.
So bringing it back to the original question, I really don't know. Like, I can see both sides of it. Like, I see there is money on the table there. To finish the story, there's still stuff they can do with MJF, especially now, because don't think that MJF would not use any of this to his advantage.
Oh, God, no.
Like, could you imagine the things that he and William Regal, should William Regal still be there in MJF's corner? William Regal knew CM Punk back then. He can definitely bring that in. So, I mean, there's a lot of stories left to tell. There's stuff with Kenny. There's stuff with Hangman. If they wanted to go that route, if they wanted to do some WWE stuff like they did with Matt Hardy and Edge, and they brought that to TV, they could do that with Hangman and CM Punk if people were in agreement. So there are, like, I can see the benefits on that side of it. And again, he still sells a lot of shirts for them. I see that side of it, but then I see the other side of it. So I really, until he's cleared from surgery, like, I don't know that this is a conversation that should still be happening, because he can't do it. I mean, I guess I was gonna say that he can't do anything. That's not true. I guess they could put him on TV and let him be an on-screen character, like they did with Britt Baker when she was injured. They could potentially do that, but I think as long as he's recovering from surgery, I think maybe once it gets closer to how he's healing and potentially coming back, then maybe we could have that conversation again. But I think between now and then, it's just all speculation.
Cool. Maybe we should set a date where we just stop talking about All Out and the Brawl Out and CM Punk all together until we see what happens.
Yeah. And then because now we have winter coming, and we need to see if my prophecy is going to be fulfilled.
Well, it made me think about, if it was going to happen, it would happen at winter is coming, and it's like hell freezing over, because they've got the
that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
And then I was like, and then we'll get the snow and the gray suit.
Boy, I have not had any dreams about CM Punk coming back, so.
No, I know, but I mean, it's just it could have been. I mean, prophecies are as you know, if you're a fantasy reader, prophecies are notoriously terrible to interpret.
Yeah, that is true. So Daza makes a good point that if AEW business is down in a year, we may see something happen with incentive to make amends. Always possible. It's like we said at the beginning, wrestling, you never say never in the wrestling business.
Never, ever.
We can see what will 99%. I mean, look at Carl Anderson. He had all those tweets about how he'd never go back to WWE and he'd never go back to Saudi Arabia. And then guess what? He had to delete all those tweets.
He did both in the last few months, people.
Yeah. And he deleted all the tweets saying he would never go back.
You scrubbed your crap.
He did. So never say never. I lean right now. I lean on no. He's not going to come back. But it's possible. Business is business, which is, again, I don't necessarily see him going back to WWE just because of all of the things that happen. And I think that CM Punk would retire.
Freaking hates him. But...
Yeah, he and Triple H hate each other with a passion. They fired him on his damn wedding day. So, but again, wrestling is wrestling. Never say never. I do not, because I saw somebody say, well, they'll send him to Saudi Arabia. CM Punk is not going to do a Saudi Arabia show. I think what morals he does have, I don't see him going to Saudi Arabia for blood money. I see maybe a one-time WrestleMania attraction match or a SummerSlam. If he were to come back, like I can see something like that happening.
Maybe a versus Cody deal, because that'd be huge money.
Yeah, CM Punk versus Cody, yeah, that would be money.
Money.
Yeah, money. So yeah, I mean, again, never say never, but it seems highly, highly, highly unlikely. Right, and I still think that I would expect this. I would think he would be back in AEW before WWE if he were to come back. And I think, and now I'm also wondering some of the non-compete stuff that they've had. Is the non-compete to let him do UFC stuff? Because, he's been doing commentary. So
I don't know, because they're just letting him do that.
Yeah. So that's what because, people are like, oh, the non-compete. So that's what started allegedly there's a argument about non-compete.
But I think it probably has to do with wrestling.
Daza, are you asking if we think he'll be in the WWE Hall of Fame? I would say yes. Would he show up? I don't know.
Now, is he in the running right now for Observer Hall of Fame? Was this his first year on the thingy?
I don't know what Observer are.
I know.
I don't know.
And then yes, if Mania came to Chicago, Daza, which he mentions here, that would be the time.
If it was going to happen, yeah, I would say it would happen there. Maybe if Mania is in Chicago, then they do Hall of Fame too.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they do it. Maybe that's how they lure him. Maybe it's not the money. Maybe it is come to WrestleMania against John Cena.
There you go.
Chicago, and we'll induct you into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brad confirmed CM Punk is on the ballot for Observer Hall of Fame. People thought this run would get him in. It would have, I think.
I think definitely it would have.
If you don't, which I know it's hard to separate, obviously, what happened at All Out. But if you are able to separate that and you look at the run's not, I think, should the run, if it had played out the way we thought with MJF, because, MJF left, he's coming back. We thought it was going to be CM Punk versus MJF. Clearly was not. I think even without that, this run for CM Punk was really, really good. He had some really good stuff there. But I don't know what the voting criteria is, so I don't know that people can separate that. Maybe this is something they revisit in 5 years when we can, obviously the dust is settled. We can see if CM Punk comes back to AEW, if he goes to WWE, if he just retires completely, then maybe it's a question in 3 to 5 years about that. But it's really,
I don't see it happening this year, but
nah.
I mean, I do believe, I think that probably maybe the guy just needs to go get a therapist.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I was like,
seems a lot of this behavior seems very self-destructive.
Well, and I
don't want to I'm not a doctor or
no, I'm not either, but I saw some things that reminded me, because some people found some old Tumblrs of some things that he was going through a while back, and he's been really open about his issues with his father and his mother. Sometimes looking back at what I've seen, you can see 15-year-old CM Punk sitting there. not knowing how to process his emotions. It was not clearly the right, again, not making excuses for him. I just can see some of that. And like as somebody had tweeted a while back, they were like, oh, because they were talking about the Hangman, one of the last promos he did where he's talking about the medicine's not working, but he's still here. And how that resonated with so many people. And there was the tweet that was something like, and I think it was also related to something MJF said. They were like, why go to therapy when you can just cut fire ass promos about your trauma? And then I quote tweeted it and said, or hold a media scrum hostage.
Yep.
Because there's
a lot of
there's a lot of layers here. Because if you think about it, like, why in the hell would somebody do that? Yes, Sean, agreed. Yes, hurt people. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes, and again, not making excuses for anybody.
No,
but when you look at it, and you would be like, why in the hell would anybody risk their job?
We see self-destructive athletes all the time in every walk of sport.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yeah, wrestling's not the only place this happens.
You can make this argument for people like Randy Moss or Terrell Owens or any number of other people that it's tricky.
It is.
And we're never going to decipher it because...
No.
So...
Right.
I think that we're good.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we are. Yeah. I think we've made it to the end of our second 1:00 p.m. Eastern. It's not annual. It's weekly.
It's not annual. It's not inaugural either.
And we made it to 40 episodes.
We did make it to 40 episodes. That's exciting. Thank you for being with us. If you've been with us the entire 40, or if you've been here for one or two, or if this is your first one, we appreciate you and your support and hanging out with us in the chat and liking and following us on social media and subscribing to Fight Game Media. Yes. Brad said,
that's
woo!
It.
Was that a right? Because that's not what I did. But yeah, so we are probably going to try to make this a more, once the holidays are over. I mean, we will probably
we'll be regularly doing it as much as we can. And then if something happens in the meantime, we'll let you guys know via our multiple forms of social media.
Yes, because I think next week will not be live, correct? You have prior engagement next Sunday.
Oh my gosh, it's December 4th already. Good God almighty. We might, either we would do a live different day or we'll do a recorded. And we'll let you know when we figure that out. That's right. Got the annual Christmas party going on. Uh-oh.
Probably her husband to make an appearance at the Christmas party.
Well, I mean, he's kind of. He's one of the top salesmen in the company.
Yeah, so he's got to be there. And then, I've got I don't know, actually.
Don't worry, we might dress a little silly.
My Christmas party is happening at the exact same time as Final Battle.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I just found out last weekend because we were actually talking about going to we wanted to go to DPW because it's in Winston-Salem. Obviously, now that my car is, my power steering went out yesterday, and it seems to be leaking. So I will be calling my mechanic tomorrow. So even prior to that, we were probably not going to Winston-Salem. And then they're like, "Oh, Christmas party is December 10th," and then they were like at 4:00, and I was like, that's when Final Battle is. So I will not be watching Final Battle live. I will be watching it later and tweeting it as I watch it then. So if you don't watch it then, and if you do, don't put up the red spoiler thing and tell me stuff.
Yeah, guys, I found that spoiler alert thing on the internet. You can get your own and just put a
don't
big
use
thing
it on me, please. So Brad, awesome. So Brad has a really good reason for not being here for live, except for we won't be live next Sunday because of her prior engagements. Yeah. But Kathy is going to meet Malachi Black, and that is very cool.
Kathy's on a roll.
She is. Kathy's getting to see
Tony
all kinds of cool
Deppen, Malachi Black.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hope you guys have fun.
I'm glad you guys are having that one. That's fun.
It is, and we enjoy seeing it. Thank you for sharing it with us
Yeah,
and stuff,
also,
'cause we
yeah.
love seeing it on your social media
And
'cause
I
it's
guess I should
fun.
plug that, is that for those of you who do enjoy yourself a good Facebook group, the Fight Game Media Facebook group is a good Facebook group.
It
We do have
is.
a lot of
For somebody who's
hilarious.
not on Facebook very often, when I do hop in there, there's always good discussion going on
We
over
have
there.
some hilarious conversations sometimes. I am gonna it does keep me up a little bit, like, in a way. Like, sometimes your week gets boring, and then all of a sudden you're, like, doing Mount Rushmores of tag teams, and I just appreciate that so
Right,
much.
and I will if I don't know if Mike Gilbert is watching this, I will watch Can't Buy Me Love. That the original plan was to watch it either Friday or Saturday, and then Friday we were like, "Let's just go ahead and watch New Japan and Stardom because it's almost 6 hours." Then I didn't know I was gonna be watching Survivor Series. So I was like, "We'll watch it Saturday night," and then
I cannot. I'm starting
so
to
it is coming.
really.
I promise. I really want to watch it. I hope to get to it. Maybe I will get to it this week. Maybe because I probably will not be going anywhere.
There you go. I'm really starting to
Maybe the
endorse.
universe was like, you need to watch this movie, so we're taking your car from you.
I'm starting to endorse Garrett's idea of all of us indulging in your watch of it, and then like all of
I
us
would love that. I think it would be
watching
fun.
and
That will
weighing in as well.
probably, yeah, that will be fun. I do plan on
I
watching
can't wait till you watch it. I want to
already.
hear what you think.
I know. Yeah, it's on my list of things to do. And again, I thought I was going to watch it last night, and then I got sucked into having to write about Survivor Series instead.
I hope we haven't overhyped it for you now.
No, I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it, and so that's definitely coming. But yeah, so next week will either be a live stream on Saturday or we'll just be recording. And we'll let you know on the social medias. We have not. I've got to do it. If you are on Hive, we will be making a Hive account. Just so that's an option.
I can't figure out how to get an avatar.
I just haven't. I haven't downloaded. I haven't downloaded the app yet. I keep saying I'll do it, and then but we'll be over there too, because I know some of you are already over there on Hive, and also I don't want some asshole to take Powerbombshells because it's a cool name, so I want to make sure I'm
copywriting that shit.
Yeah, right. So I want to claim that before some a-hole does. So we'll be heading over to Hive, but in the meantime, Twitter and Instagram, we'll let you know. If you're in the Facebook group too, we can let you know if we're going to be live next week or not. We'll have that discussion. But yeah, so after that, though, we will probably be live most Sundays at 1:00 Eastern time. We hope that you will join us when you can. And then, as you now know, we are on other audio streaming, our podcast streaming sites. And so if that's where you're at, you can find us there too. And yeah, so Daza's leaving us.
Bye, Daza.
Like, shut up and leave. But yeah, so we will see you one way or another next week.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye.